it's Lisa, half Asian Tarot Queen, and yeah, I'm starting to get back into a rhythm, so we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of big changes happening. Oh my gosh, we have lightning on the bottom of this deck. Okay, well, I'm just gonna take these two that I get from the split. A lot of big changes that are happening, and so I'm not really in a rhythm yet, so the readings are kind of all over the place, but so I've got lightning and the Andean cross, and it's interesting because I've gotten both of these recently. There's been like a big theme. Actually, I could link a lightning and an Andean cross reading, but it's all about basically, you know, you're kind of getting this jolt of awareness, which is like, it's almost like a tower, like a falling tower, but it's just sort of like there's this jolt of awareness that's kind of like surging through you and like forcing you to see the world from a new perspective. And then the Andean cross is kind of like a portal, you know, where you're just like, you're walking through this portal and you're coming out the other side, and you're like, you're coming into a completely different life, you know. It's like a big shakedown that's happening, which I can definitely relate to that. That sentiment for sure. Like, my whole world has been kind of shaken up lately, and it's just like, you know, you think it's going to go one way and then it actually ends up going a completely different way, but I think it's all right. Like, ultimately, it's like, if I'm being totally honest with myself, I'm realizing that, like, even though, like, I was, like, sort of committed to this sort of plan, there was some sort of, like, what do you call it? There was resistance, because there was, like, parts of it that I was, like, that weren't, like, right, you know, like, and so, had to shake down, you know, because you kind of have to build your life that's, like, totally going to resonate with, like, I mean, you don't want to have any dissonance in there, you know, because that's going to basically sabotage the success of whatever you do, you know. So, this is a big lesson. But I'm going to pull 3 cards of overall energies from this. This is my Serpent Fire Tarot, which I got from my friend Angie. My buddy Angie. And I love this deck, and I love how it shuffles. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is good. So we got the King of Cups. We got the Hermit. And we got the Star. So this is cool. It's like, you know, the King of Cups is like, he like rules from the heart, but like in a balanced, you know, way. Like, he's not like all emotional, like he's super emotionally like centered and balanced, you know, but still, like, he rules from the heart center, you know, so like guided from that energy, you know, which is, well, for me, like a big lesson. Because it's like, you know, if you're not in alignment with that, then you're, you know, and you have like dissonance, like, you're gonna get, you know, you're gonna get the lightning in the like tower moment, you know. And then the Hermit. So this can be a spiritual energy. It's a Virgo, often associated with Virgo, but it's just sort of like you're going on your own journey, and you're coming back sort of like from a more enlightened place and more in line with your true nature, you know. So that's kind of interesting, because it's sort of like what I was talking about, like when you're not in alignment with your heart center, you're not in alignment with who you're meant to be, you know, there's always going to be this seed of like dissonance that's going to kind of like sabotage whatever you're trying to achieve, you know. And then we get the Star, which is like a card of your wishes coming true, you know. So it's like, it's kind of like you've brought these things in alignment, you know, and And so now your wishes are actually going to come true. Like, all of this had to happen to sort of like make room for this realignment that had to take place. And now that that's happened, you're like actually set up for success, that's actually pretty cool. So, okay, I'm going to pull, I've got my White Sage Tarot, which is I'm doing a total like Minneapolis reading here because I got my deck that I got from my friend Angie. And then I got this White Sage Tarot, which is made by someone from Minneapolis. But I love the artwork on this deck, so it's pretty cool. I'm just going to pull, oh my gosh, wow. Okay, this is really like speaking to some of the other readings I've done in the last couple days. All right. Okay, interesting. So at the bottom of this deck we have the Six of Swords. So that's moving on from a bad situation to a better one. You know, we're kind of like moving through this portal. And for the general energies, I got the Page of Wands, the Four of Wands, and the Eight of Wands. So this is a lot of fire, which is interesting because there was this Divine Feminine reading from 2 days ago that was like the fire was one of the main cards, you know. It's just like Phoenix rising above the ashes, and there's all this passion and fire. But the Page of Wands is kind of like a new spark or a new idea that's coming online. And then we have the Four of Wands, which is like a marriage, family, stability card, you know, so like kind of building this new foundation on that, you know. It's almost like that kind of got left out of the equation before, and now we're like, hey, you know what, we're gonna use that as our new foundation. And then we have the Eight of Wands, which is, this is like a quick change or like a message coming in. So that's kind of climactic. But then we have the Nine of Swords, which is kind of a card of anxiety, which is coming right under this new inspiration. So it's just like, this might be kind of a revolutionary change because it's bringing some anxiety in with it. Because it's like maybe something super big. And then we have the Magician, which is a card of manifesting, you know. So we're manifesting this new foundation, this marriage, family, stability card. It's actually like coming into fruition. So it's almost like whatever structure was in place before might have been blocking this from coming through. And like now, the playing field has been leveled, and we're like walking through this portal into this new life that maybe is going to support that situation a little better, you know. And then we have the Knight of Wands. So this is kind of like, there's actually a whole thread about this character who's kind of been coming and going. But this is like a player energy, or like he's kind of like a ladies' man, you know, like a real passionate guy, you know, and the ladies love him, but he's not exactly super reliable, you know. But it's almost like there's this message coming in from this player guy, you know, which there's a whole thread about him, and it's a message of like a wish coming true almost. So that's kind of interesting, you know. But whatever this new inspiration is, like it might be a shakeup because there's some anxiety that's coming through with it, but ultimately all the other cards are good, so it looks like it's going to end up okay, you know. So, and then at the bottom of this deck, we have the Queen of Swords. So this is like a no-nonsense queen who's like, you know, drawing some clean boundaries, and like she's like not putting up with any nonsense. So it's just sort of like maybe drawing boundaries around like this new life that's actually going to work for her. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, one more card. Oh my gosh. This is crazy because I think this came in yesterday's reading. It was either yesterday's or the day before, but we got the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Wands. So this passionate, fiery new beginning that's also based in love, you know, and that's flanking. In the middle, we have the Emperor. So this is like, you know, the boss, you know, but it's just sort of like rebuilding the life on a new foundation that's going to support you. And like now you're like large and in charge. But also, this is kind of like there was this whole storyline that's been coming up in the Epic Love Saga, Dynasty, Phoenix, and the Divine Feminine threads of this King of Pentacles. And there was this injustice that had befallen his counterpart, the Queen of Pentacles. And, you know, in order for him to ascend into this Emperor status, he had to right this wrong. It was a spiritual lesson. And then when he did that, he was going to ascend and become the Emperor. So it's really interesting because that event was like actually taking place in tangible reality, because it's been in the energetic realm for a long time, but it was actually taking place in tangible reality like 2 days ago in the Divine Feminine reading. So you might check that out. But yeah, so it's just like he's ascending, and now there's this passionate, fiery beginning that's happening, you know, and it's like it's made this possible. So it's like, you know, here's this Emperor. He's like large and in charge, and then on his side he's got passion, fire, and love. Like, wow. And he's like falling right on top of this Four of Wands and this Magician card. So he's manifesting this beautiful new foundation, which is like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's like there's been this whole shakeup that's happened, but it's actually good because like it's kind of making way for all this good stuff to come in. So this is actually a really good reading, you know. It's like sometimes you can get like really lost in all the destruction, but you know, it's like it might be a good thing, you know, if you can just like wait for all the pieces to fall into place, you know. All right, I'm gonna pull one card from Sacred Traveler to end the reading, and yeah, this is good. I like kind of checked out for a minute because all this stuff happened, but like we're coming back to some good stuff here. Okay, so we got answering the call. The time is now. Wow, that's pretty climactic because it's just like, yeah, all this stuff's been kind of like this climax has been building in the energetic realm for a while, and like it's just like now's the time. Like lightning striking. We're starting. We're going through the portal, and we're starting a whole new life. So pretty cool. Check back with you soon.